look like we have anybody who, at least on the surface, identifies as a child here. I'm going to share a video here in a moment that is produced by Dove Products, and it's kind of a powerful video. And we'll chat about it just for a second after we play it. But go ahead and run the video, Natalie.
Make yourself comfortable. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, how do I want to sit? This.
Water there. You need a drink.
I don't want to ruin the lipstick.
Oh, yeah.
Social media can be good, but it can be bad as well.
In terms of her building her confidence, it can build her confidence.
Margie is just trying to find herself now, you know. She's not influenced by social media yet.
Most of the influencers that I've seen have definitely had a positive impact on me.
Hey guys, here's a beauty hack I'm obsessed with.
I am so happy.
Look at how cinched my waist is. Look at how flat my stomach is.
It's the shortcut to flawless skin.
You know that Botox doesn't just reduce wrinkles, right? Baby Botox is amazing. You're never too young to start.
That is not me.
There are these great powders. They stop you feeling hungry so you can always skip breakfast and lunch.
And you have to treat yourself to a chemical peel. They're a total glow up. They burn away the top layers of your skin and let new skin grow through.
Hey, Amojo. If your teeth are uneven, you can always file them down with a nail file. It's literally so simple.
File your teeth.
Don't put up with your thin lips, sweetie. Lip filler kits let you inject yourself at home. They're my total go-to.
Fake eyelashes are so easy to glue on if you cut your eyelashes off.
There's some really great pills you can use.
Keep telling yourself you're not hungry, you're just thirsty.
Never look bloated again.
Book it into your skin.
Sexiest lashes.
Botox.
Remember, skinny is never finished.
Oh.
It's
Have you actually seen stuff like that?
yeah, a lot. This stuff is on every girl's feed. They're watching, right? I mean, at night when I can't see them.
It's scary to me that my kids are watching this and they think that's how they have to look.
I saw one of the teeth filing videos. I remember that one. I remember seeing that all over. I know this stuff. I can't prevent them from seeing these, but I can talk to them about it.
100% always be talking. And have Peyton know that she can always ask me anything.
My mom has taught me not to listen to people like that and to be proud of who I am.
So that's heavy. I know, especially for the parents of young children in the room and grandparents of young children in the room, there's a lot to think about there. And as the video suggests, I encourage you to talk to the young people in your lives. Keep having conversations about how social media, Instagram, TikTok, influencers on these platforms, how they can be harmful. They can also be liberating, but we'll talk about that during the sermon portion. But I encourage you, ask your little people, talk to your little people about how they can protect their self-image, their self-esteem, their self-worth and dignity, right? That's our first principle. And how sometimes money is used as a way to harm just to get more money. for all of you here and for the little people in your lives, no matter what you see or hear, no matter who else tells you you are perfect, your kids are perfect and worthy just the way you are, just the way they are. I think we'll skip the singing the kids out, but I'll give Janaea a moment to go out to a bell because we're going to have a little bit different meditation than normal today. And join me up here. So it is Memorial Day weekend. And I want to make sure that we give proper credence and proper reverence to folks who have lost their lives while serving in the military. And there are other things that I think that are heavy on our hearts right now that I think deserve a memorial. And so Janaea is going to be outside playing the bell in between a few stanzas. And I invite you to feel the things that you're going to feel as we read these words. And sit with them and then hopefully be inspired, as I am, to march, to write letters, to call all of our lawmakers who are unwilling to protect our kids. This Memorial Day weekend, as we have our end of school year barbecues, pool openings, and other celebrations, let's also remember why we have this annual holy day. May we honor members of the military who lost their lives on the battlefield.
As we honor the memory of both the brave people who willingly took on the enormous task of military service, may we also honor the people who were exploited into military service.
As we honor the folks who gave their lives in the military to protect our freedom, our freedoms, may we also honor the lives of those who unwillingly give their lives in school buildings, grocery stores, and houses of worship because of the selfish, warped, and distorted interpretation and abuse of those freedoms.
As we honor the folks who gave their lives in rich men's wars, near and far, may we honor the children who die to keep those men rich at home.
As we honor folks who died in war, died from gun violence here at home, died because of a severe power imbalance between people in this world, may we do so with righteous rage, permanent persistence, bountiful beauty, and unlimited love, so that someday we will no longer have to grieve, suffer, and honor violent death quite so damn often.
I now invite the ushers to come forward and collect our morning offering, which will help us sustain our beloved community. Thank you for your generosity.
So Cheryl and I were going to have a chat about how beauty and beauty standards and beauty expectations and beauty boundaries sometimes can be harmful. As we saw on the video earlier from Dove, that there are ways that expectations around beauty and the way that beauty is marketed can really hurt us, take away our self-esteem, take away our self-worth. And I was having some good conversation about that with Janaea last night. We do tend to talk about these things ahead of time. She's real smart and I trust her a lot, and very, very insightful. So I called, after a bit of conversation, I called Cheryl and asked her permission to bring Janaea on board so that the three of us can chat today. I also think it will provide a little bit of protection for me to not mansplain anything in this context, because I, as the video suggested earlier, I am a cis man, and I am impacted by this less than basically all other gender expressions. So I invited Janaea for the latest cyst, and she has a lot of really good thoughts about this. So thank you both to Cheryl and to Janaea for being willing to chat with me about this. I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to let us talk for about 12 minutes. Okay, so when this gets to 11:56, we'll kind of wrap it up wherever we are. Okay, that way we don't go too far over the hour mark for the service. So this question is to both of you. We're just going to kind of bounce around, popcorn it, and think more podcast than anything. All right?
Okay.
We'll speak to the millennials in the room that way. The first question: how have you both seen beauty or aesthetics be harmful? Has money been at the root of some of that harm, and how does class play a role? Let's just play around with that a little bit. What do you think, Cheryl?
Well, one of the things that, well, first of all, while watching that video, I have to put this disclaimer out ahead of time. The part about the filing teeth made me feel rather squiffy. So it's like, wow. And I really see this the aesthetics as being harmful, as especially as a person of color. There's like a standard of, like, it's something, it's just like this old saying. I have to go to an old school saying here. It's just like a reminder. And it's just something that I heard from my dad. It's just, there's a song or something that goes, if you're white, you're all right. If you're brown, stick around. If you're black, get to the back. And so many times, the beauty standard is seen as Eurocentric with lighter skin and so-called good hair. Money plays a huge part in that because Black women spend billions of dollars on hair care. And the marketing is just such a big deal. And there's so much money and so much advertising and so much time put into hair products. And if you go down the YouTube rabbit hole, as I do from time to time, you will see a lot of influencers talking about hair care, how to grow hair, how to do the curly girl method, whatever it is, and so on. And class does play a role in this too, because a lot of these treatments are accessible to people who make a certain amount of income.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you. Talking about marketing, which is a field that I'm in and I've been in for a while, when I apply it to beauty and aesthetics, I definitely think of the main drive behind marketing obviously being about making money, but the way that they do that is creating a problem, maybe identifying a problem, but more likely they're creating a problem and then selling you the solution. So the amount of products and treatments and services that are marketed, especially to women and femme identifying people, is just astounding. And it goes down to every little detail of skin being smooth, but also having freckles and maybe some beauty marks, so you can't have too much or too little. Eyebrows being natural, but also shaped, and not too bushy, but not too thin. So it's every little piece of how you look, how you carry yourself, how you dress, being shown to us as here's why it's a problem and here's how you fix it. And all of it is to drive an insecurity in us that gives us the sense that we need to spend that money, we need to buy that product, we need to spend our time doing all of these things every morning, and it just snowballs further and further until what you're seeing isn't yourself, but all the things that you need to correct in yourself, which of course is ridiculous.
Some of the videos that you and I watched last night had some really good points about not just the money side in terms of commerce, of what we spend, but also what we earn. People who are considered quote unquote beautiful, which, as Cheryl said, often means Eurocentric versions of those standards. You'll see some really conclusive and kind of compelling data that makes the case. People who are seen as attractive, white folks, are given more job opportunities, make more money, and so there's that element also that not only does this kind of class warfare invite spending by folks who are probably closer to poverty than not, but also keep them in that poverty kind of area. So there's a real trap there in the beauty industry, and what we believe to be beautiful, or at least what we're told is beautiful by magazines, by social media, by influencers. You already kind of brought us into this this bit, but Cheryl, how have you seen beauty standards and boundaries been weaponized against race? Is there any specific story where you've witnessed that happen?
Yes. Sadly enough, sometimes the pressure to fit into a more Eurocentric standard, sometimes it turns into a kind of colorism within Black people's lives, where it's just like there's a competition between the lighter skinned women with looser curled hair are seen as more attractive than darker skinned women with hair more like mine. An example of this, if you've ever seen the movie in the 1980s called School Days by Spike Lee, that's one of the issues that he...
Turn her off, I'm going to use this. Okay. Just pass. Yep.
Of course, I have to go with one of the pop culture references. If you've ever seen the movie, I think it was in the late 1980s by Spike Lee, it's called School Days. It's just this rivalry of just self-hatred turning against ourselves, where it's between the lighter skinned people and darker skinned people. And that really dates from the time of one of the, unfortunately, legacies of slavery, where the more fair-skinned Black people were more the house slaves, and the people who were darker, closer to my coloring, were in the field. And it's also one of the things that's really, speaking of hair texture, one of the things that's happened a lot with Black people is that a lot of Black women have been pressured to put relaxers in their hair to fit into a more European or acceptable or professional standard. And I've gone through this firsthand experience with being hair straightened and the relaxers. And finally, I do wear my hair like this. And for so many people, there are negative stereotypes. Well, if you wear your hair naturally, you're messy, unkempt, unprofessional, ghetto, whatever. And so I have to say this. It's like there are no words to express just how much I appreciated seeing a woman, Ketanji Brown Jackson, a woman with an unapologetically Black woman's name, with her hair in microlocks, which is a style that goes with her natural hair texture rather than against it. And her hair, her look, she was an utter professional, and she was a demonstration of just how professional a woman can look when she wears her hair in that natural state. And that was just such a wonderful and empowering and affirming thing.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, it makes me think about the idea of representation in a extended sense, that as we see more examples of leaders, of heroes in stories, of movie stars, of creators that fit in the wide range of appearances we all have, different styles, different ways of expressing themselves and different body shapes, different abilities, all of those things. As we see more of that, I think it helps our ideas of beauty to transcend what they've been in the past. I also think it helps us to move some of the conversation away from just how someone looks. When we see that kind of representation, we're able to focus more on what they're doing, what they're accomplishing, who they are, besides just, who are they wearing.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue, especially into the conversation about sizeism or fat phobia. I don't know if anybody's heard that term before, fat phobia, but there is language in our kind of lexicon and especially in media that has the appearance of, so to speak, of helping people to be healthier. That whole kind of trope of if you're overweight, you're unhealthy, and that has been used here in the States in a way that's unique to other countries, which is interesting, but by doctors and media. So one of the first things that doctors talk about when people come in is, lose some weight, you'll be healthier that way, and that's like the kind of the core thing that the bit about body mass index, which is actually a really, really flawed way of looking at a flawed and racist in a lot of ways way of looking at what a healthy weight is. There is some contradictive, but I think the main point is that when we have folks, especially people in the media, saying things that like Bill Maher, for example, we heard some really kind of toxic things come out of his mouth last night, where he's talking about what we should bring fat shaming back. Why are we talking about lowering fat shaming? We should fat shame more, which is just insanely mean and rude, and is not going to help us get healthier. In fact, the more that we hear about, there's a lot of data that suggests, the more that we hear about how there is a healthier way to have our body shape be, the more likely that we're going to be unhealthy. It's the opposite effect. So it kind of brings up the question of when is it appropriate to talk about somebody's weight or body size? You have any answers to that? When is it appropriate to talk about body or weight?
Like when they are expressing something. Like I would say it's not ever appropriate unless it's something that they are asking you about or bringing up. Then for sure validate and be there. I wanted to say also on that topic though that the idea of health also being the worthiness of a person is hugely problematic, because there are always things that are unhealthy about us. We're always going through sicknesses or injuries, allergies, everything. Emotional health. Yeah, absolutely. Depression and anxiety, all of that. So even just beyond the idea of fat shaming to try and encourage people to be healthier, the idea of encouraging people to be healthier is saying that sickness is bad, which it's not.
Just, let us finish up here, okay? But I appreciate your engagement with us. Thank you.
And piggybacking a bit on what you're saying is this, that first of all, just the fat shaming, just saying that there should be more fat shaming is just uncool on so many levels. It's just like somebody may have a legitimate health-related reason why their weight is the way it is. I know a number of people, including myself, whose weight has been affected by taking antidepressants. it is for a fact, I can tell you for a fact, or from a direct experience, taking antidepressants does affect your weight. And it does affect your appetite. And one of the things, pet peeves, I said, oh, I've heard this myself. It's just like, oh, you need to eat healthier. Oh, you need to just walk, just go out, go walking. It's just like, well, what if you live in a food desert and you don't have access to healthier food? What if you live in a neighborhood where it's unsafe to go walking, or there are not safe sidewalks to go walking? Or what if, even if you're in a safe neighborhood, and I've felt this way too when I moved to where I am last year, it's like, what if I'm anxious about taking a walk in a new neighborhood and end up having somebody shoot me for walking while being black? That's, I mean, I can understand the intent. I know it's well intended, but a lot of people don't think about that. And on the flip side, I know someone a young woman who's very thin, and it might be easy to just say, well, she's anorexic, she needs to eat something, blah, blah, blah. But what if she has health conditions that are affecting her? For example, this person in question that I'm talking about has lupus, and she takes immune suppressant drugs, and that affects your weight too. So maybe we should take a minute and just think about that before we say you're too fat, you're too thin, or whatnot.
I appreciate all your thoughts. I'm gonna wrap us up in a little bit here, but just name really quickly before we wrap up that this isn't just about the harm that beauty expectations can cause isn't just for humans in our emotional health and our physical health either. We can also name, and I know we have some Sierra Club people here who can back me up on this, that if we're trying to have a pristine yard, if we're trying to create something that is aesthetically beautiful in our yard, that is actually harmful to the ecosystem in general. And so it's all about being whole and holistic, and trying to see and interact and live in a way that is reciprocal and loving, and always helping people to be whole. And if we're doing so, if we're trying to do that in a way that asks people to look differently, which is just terrible, you're almost certainly going to move them away from wholeness. Move yourself away from wholeness, because the less whole that others are, the less whole you are. We are in an interdependent web of existence, and the more that we harm others by these expectations that are based in centuries-long ideas of race, centuries-long power of the male gaze, which really does define a lot of all this, centuries-long binary systems that give so much credence to there's a way to be as a man, there's a way to be as a woman, and there's way more spectrum of all that, right? So we have to keep these in mind. And I want to name that there are things that are helping right now, that are moving us towards something a little bit more liberative, a little bit more beloved community, some of which does happen on social media. Social media is not all bad, right? There's a lot of new representation happening because of social media that has kind of compelled us towards something that doesn't have one particular idea of what beauty is, what the paradigm of beauty is. So the more that we can kind of look out for those things, amplify those things, support those things, and at the very least, give ourselves as much grace as possible, give others as much grace as possible, knowing that who we are and what we are is perfect. We will always be transforming, and that's great. But at this moment, in any moment, we are perfect the way we are. And with that, I'm going to give my gratitude to Cheryl and Janaea for chatting with me today, and have David come up and we'll do the final hymn together. Thank you so much.
Our closing hymn is hymn number 77. The words can be found in the gray hymnal or on the screen. And we ask you to rise in body or spirit as we sing, "Seek Not Afar for Beauty."
Standing if you'd like, in body or spirit. I'd like to close today's service with this benediction by my colleague, Reverend Karen Johnston. And I read this at Soul Circles the other night, and I feel like it needs to be read again, at least for me. And she says, what to do with beauty, or joy for that matter, in the midst of tragedy, of violence, of cruelty. What do we do with the living? Give each their due. Do not lose ourselves in any of it, but find ourselves anew. Where there is beauty, amplify it. Where beauty is hidden, reveal it. Where beauty is ruined, restore it. Where beauty is absent, create it. This will be our gift to an aching world.